Hi everyone, today I wanted to share with you some tips and tricks I've picked up while working on the new Dragonflight Meta achievement, A World Awoken. Much like other expansion meta achievements, A World Awoken encompasses features from every major patch of Dragonflight, including raids, dungeons, quests, reputation, renown systems, dragon racing, and more. You may find that some achievements have already been completed or progressed without really trying, while others will require more commitment and time. The good news is, with the exception of the 3 raid achievements, every other achievement in this meta can be earned by any character across your account, and the progress will still be counted. There are 14 achievements in total, some of which I have already covered in other videos on my channel, such as a comprehensive guide to the Forbidden Reach meta achievement, You Know How to Reach Me, as well as a reputation guide for the Dream Wardens, Loam Niffen, and the Winterpelt Furbolg. There are links to these videos and more in the description below for you, but please do leave a comment if you have any questions and I'll do my best to help you. My first tip is fairly self-explanatory, but worth noting nonetheless. Before you make a start on any of the achievements in this meta, I would highly recommend scanning through each of your characters and double checking who has the most progress on each achievement. As I mentioned just now, you can earn progress towards this meta across multiple characters, and especially if you play multiple characters at endgame, you might find that one character is further ahead in one area, while another character is ahead elsewhere. It can be a huge time saver to make sure you're working on achievements with characters that are as far ahead as possible so that you aren't putting in unnecessary time and work, especially given how much there is to do in this meta achievement. Just make sure one of your characters has completed the 3 raid achievements needed for the meta, those being the Vault of the Incarnates, Aberrus, and Amidrisil, as these achievements don't have account-wide progression. Speaking of raid achievements, my next tip would be to make the most of Dragonflight Season 4 launching on April 23rd to easily gain access to the 3 raids you need for your achievement. Each raid achievement simply asks you to defeat every boss in each raid, and these can be done on any difficulty including LFR. However, as of the time of this video, only Amidrisil is available to be queued for on LFR, as the other 2 raids are not current content. Whereas when Season 4 launches, all 3 raids will re-enter the rotation with the new Awakened affix opening one of the 3 raids each week, allowing them to be run in pre-made groups and LFR. You can try to join or form groups of your own before Season 4 if you'd like, but you may struggle to find enough people looking to do the same. It would also be wise to wait until Season 4 of Dragonflight to complete the Myths of the Dragonflight Dungeons achievement too. The achievement asks you to complete all 8 Dragonflight dungeons on Mythic or Mythic Plus difficulty, and conveniently, all 8 dungeons are reintegrating into the dungeon pool in Season 4. This means players will be actively making and joining groups for each dungeon, and you'll have plenty of chances to complete any dungeons you need for your achievement. Much like the raid achievements, you can try to form a group for these dungeons pre-Season 4 to try to run Mythic Zeros, or you could solo them if you have a character with enough item level, but Season 4 will make this grind much faster and more accessible. My next tip is super helpful for the Across the Isles achievement needed for the meta, and it is to join a raid group before you work on a world quest. When you're in a raid group, world quest credit is not counted, which essentially means you can endlessly farm world quests until you have everything you need from them. This comes in especially handy for the legendary album cataloging achievement, as you'll be tasked with photographing specific NPCs while cataloging, and they aren't always guaranteed to spawn. Not to mention, you can only access the cataloging rafts and air balloons in each area when their designated world quest is active. So by joining a raid group, you can run the same cataloging world quests as many times as you need, rather than limiting yourself to one go that may not even spawn the NPC for you. The same logic can be applied to the Great Shots Galore achievement, which is part of the same zone achievement for the Waking Shores, needed for the Across the Isles achievement. Moving on to reputation, my next tip is to use an add-on called Pretty Reps to easily see which of your characters across your account has the highest standing with any given faction in the game. The Dragonflight meta requires maximum reputation with pretty much every renown and reputation faction in the expansion, from the 6 major factions to the Artisans Consortium, the Cobalt Assembly, Rathian and Sibelian, and more. So to make the grind as efficient and smooth as possible, I would highly recommend making sure you're farming reputation for each faction with whichever character on your account has the highest standing to begin with, rather than playing catch up on another character without needing to. With Pretty Reps installed, you should see an extra tab in your reputation pane separate from your character reputation. The Pretty Reps tab will show you every reputation at their current highest standing, and when you scroll over a given reputation, Pretty Reps will show you which character holds that standing. This has been very useful for me in making sure I'm working on the correct reputations with each character, especially since I switched mains throughout Dragonflight, meaning I have certain reputations, such as Sorodormi from the Time Rift event, that are significantly more progressed on one character and barely touched on others, as I had very few reasons to farm Time Rifts on more than one character. This brings me on to my 5th tip, which also relates to reputation farming. If you still have Renown to farm with the Dragonscale Expedition, Maruk Centaur, Iskara Tuskar, Valdrakan Accord, Loam Niffen, Dream Wardens, or the Artisans Consortium, make sure you are using reputation contracts to maximize your rep gain with each of them. Contracts can easily be purchased on the auction house, and once used, one contract lasts for 7 days. Sadly, you can only use one at a time, but the contract will automatically reward you with bonus reputation with the corresponding faction anytime you complete a Dragonflight World Quest. There are also lots of other reputations needed for the meta achievement, and sadly they don't benefit from any reputation contracts. But the good news is that each reputation you need can be endlessly farmed. Nothing is specifically time-gated, so you are only limited by the time and energy you wish to spend on getting each reputation maxed out. And depending on how much work you need to do on certain renown factions, other elements of the meta achievement may be locked behind reputation levels, so using contracts to get you extra pieces of reputation can be super helpful in getting your meta done faster. As I mentioned at the top of the video, I have a handful of reputation guides for some of the factions needed for the meta achievement already, and you'll find them linked below. My final tip that I have found super useful in my meta grind is to check in with the Wowhead front page every once in a while to see timers for certain events and rares, most of which are needed for different components of the meta achievement. When you navigate to the Wowhead front page, make sure you select the correct region for your account, and you'll see timers for things like elemental storms and their locations, which you'll need as part of the Into the Storm achievement, as well as the Grand Hunt location, rare spawn timers, and more. Since there are so many elements to the meta achievement, and lots of them involve participating in certain events that spawn at given times, it can be useful to have the Wowhead front page to illustrate where and when certain things are happening, so you're less likely to miss out. So there we have it. Those are some of my tips and tricks I have to help you complete the Dragonflight meta achievement, A World Awoken. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, if you have any questions or advice of your own that you'd like to share, please do comment below. For now though, I wish you a wonderful rest of your day, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye!